I am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
It's a teacher they're alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself. Turn in a little bit and get that motor from the pop.
Broadcasting live from the world's most famous beach here on the world's most famous Fringe station. This is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we are live on Fringe.fm, KTLK Digital Broadcasting. It is September the 27th, 2023, 7 after 10 on the East Coast, 7 after 7 on the West Coast, and we are live. So this is a live show. First and foremost, I have to remind you guys of this a lot, and the reason why I'm going to remind you of this is because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to call, what people are going to say, what's going to happen in the world, what technical issues are going to go on. You just don't know. It's raw, it's real, it's not polished. And I got to be honest with you, even when we put the archives out, I try not to polish things too much. For copyright reasons, I have to take the songs out and stuff, but all of the archives are up. If you want to check those out, Jason Quidd's show that we did last night, that's out. Also, the show we did with Juan Ayala is out as well. Some of the Explorer stuff we did, it's all there on any podcast player too. So I wanted to start a new segment in this show called Just the Tip, where I give tips out just from my 41 years of wisdom. Right. You don't really get wisdom in 41 years, but I figured why not, like, take some of the stuff I've learned and help people. But before we get into that segment, I want to talk to you tonight. We're going to have a pretty intense, I think a very interesting show. It's something that we've kind of wanted to do for a while, but for one reason or the other, it's been put off. So tonight's the night that it's going to happen. Now, we're going to have a fellow named Jorg on. So, and we're going to talk about some Area 51 stuff. We're going to talk about some things that I have no idea about. Okay, so what I do know, and I never got to follow up with this, and thanks to our producer, John Marshall, he's made this happen. And if you want to get anybody on the show, all you have to do is email the man, John Marshall at Fringe.fm. He's also got Rich West to come on the show tomorrow night, and even more guests that we're going to have coming on the program. So, I hear a while back, before we do the Just the Tip segment, here a while back, I remember Dragon Rose in the chat, and there was something that happened. Something was going on, and it was during like a lot of UFO hype. I forget the timelines. My timelines are all messed up, and I think Dave Cruz, maybe it was Dave Cruz, I'm pretty sure it was Dave Cruz. Someone told me it could have been Gigi. If one of our listeners, one of our Void Walking Fringe family members got raided in Nevada. And it had to do with stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight. And I never got, I mean, usually when I ask questions to the host, I'm like, well, what happened? Tell me, well, oh, you know, this is what you hear. Oh, man, it was crazy. This thing happened and that thing happened. But you never really get the download. So we're going to get the download tonight. So a lot of this stuff is going to be new for me. That's coming up shortly in the program. But the closest information that I've gotten when it comes to things like Area 51 has always been from Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers. A lot of the shots that you see online, as far as the pictures are concerned, come from him. But I looked this up today. I said, well, you know, what is the internet saying about like the military and Area 51, especially now with all the stuff that's going on about ufology, where they're just revealing like, oh yeah, this stuff is real and it's a security threat. And yet when you go online, you could still go to Britannica, which is where a lot of people go for research. It's a well-known research site. And it says, Area 51 facts and related content. U-2 planes, which flew over and around Area 51, could fly 20,000 feet higher than commercial planes, confusing many airplane pilots who saw them. Area 51 had to be expanded because of the ox cart. One of the planes tested there took almost 200 miles to turn around because of its high speed. And then the third, so this is all just like, okay, the military test stuff at Area 51. We got it. But the third point, Robert Lazar fabricated a story about working on alien technology at Area 51 in the late 1980s, but was later revealed to be a fraud. It all started in July 1947 when the headline on the front page of the Roswell Daily Record announcing the RAF captures flying saucers on ranch in Roswell region. That's when all this started. I mean, we've argued about like Robert Lazar a million times, but it was never proven to be a thing that he was a fraud. Like, there's some of us that think that he's a fraud, but it was never proven that way. Yet the internet has that kind of stuff flat out as a fact. Like, oh, that's a fact. He's a fraud. So you know some of this stuff is controlled for sure. So there's a history to Area 51 that we don't really know about. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. First off, we need to understand there's people that have worked in and around Area 51. There's all kinds of things that we just don't know. Where did we get most of our information from was Art Bell and some stuff that John Lear and Robert Lazar told us, and maybe a couple other pilots. But for the most part, you can watch videos of people trying to get into Area 51, and they're always met with security guards throwing them off the property or stalking them, one of the two. But to say that there were not secret projects at America's best-known secret base, the FBI, we're going to be talking about this tonight too, by the way. The FBI raided Bob Lazar. We saw it on film. We saw it on Corbell's film. They raided his whole lab, yet somehow or another Robert Lazar was a total fraud in Britannica. I never said the guy was a total fraud. There's some things that don't add up in a story, but to say he's a total fraud, if that was the case, I don't think the FBI would be raiding his place at all, or anybody's place for that matter. But there were more raids that we're going to be talking about tonight. More FBI raids of homes in Rachel, Nevada, and Las Vegas. Do you guys remember when we were going to storm the Area 51 back in 2019? I think we still have, what I'm saying is I think we still have a lot of questions about this stuff. And we need people that have had like real experience around this stuff, that have experienced things. Kind of like Robert Lazar and other people that have experienced things that would probably open our eyes to the truth about at least the lies that are going on, at least the cover-ups. Now, Later, we'll open up the phone lines. You'll be able to call in at 501-777-5631 when we open the phone lines up. But there is an early history to Area 51. There are history. There's histories about spy planes. All kinds of. Yes, we test stuff there. So why in the world would we ever think that nothing is there? Like it's all a big fraud after everything that's been revealed in Congress so far. It reminds me of that movie. I don't know if you guys seen that movie, Don't Look Up. But that's exactly the kind of stuff that happens. As soon as something happens, something real happens to somebody and it hits the news, it turns into propaganda immediately. Then it turns polar immediately. And then once it goes from propaganda to polarization, we don't know the truth anymore. We'll never know the truth. And then even the people that come out and tell the truth, their characters are assassinated. So it's a bit controlled. And the only way we're going to know more and more information about this stuff is if more and more people come to the forefront and tell us, hey, this is what I saw, or this is what I experienced, or this is what happened to me. And we have laws in place now, supposedly. We have whistleblower laws in place now to protect these people. We'll see how that works out, though. Right? But I'm not just curious about not just the aliens or the UFOs and all. I'm genuinely curious about Area 51 and its history. I mean, shouldn't we all be? I remember the first time I tried to look it up on Google Maps when they released. It's like right around the first time they started letting us look at what was it? What wasn't Google Maps? It was Google Earth. That's what it was. And you could look at a sky view of the land, pictures. And Area 51 just had this big, it was blotted out. It's like this big black spot. You couldn't even look at it. Anyways, pretty compelling stuff, pretty interesting stuff. That's what we're going to be talking about coming up in the program. So now for our segment in Just the Tip. This is going to be a new segment. It's where I give out tips based on some of the stuff that we've talked about. And remember, these are only my opinions. And so the first one I've gotten off of YouTube. Now, if you want to ask a question for this segment from here on out, excuse me, I almost tripped over there. So if you want to ask a question for this segment to me, like directly to me, the best way to do it is call in, leave a voicemail at 501-777-5631, or use the Fringe FM app. And there's a shout out feature there where you can record your name. You can use a fake name if you want. And just ask the question. Now, this is an important question, I thought, because it seemed like this person was genuinely concerned. So if you go to YouTube, under the Lighting the Void YouTube channel, one of the most viewed videos that we have there is the reading of Psychic Self-Defense. I think it's up to like 4,500 views or whatever, and quite a few comments on it. And everybody's, commenting like, thank you, this was cool. It's the first time I ever heard anybody like read a book this way, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of cool, nice people. But at the bottom, something bothered me here. There's a question at the bottom by Free World 5773. Who can I call for help? That's a damn good question, isn't it? So I know we got the, we're going to be talking all this Area 51 and the history of it coming up after the break. But I wanted to answer this person's question. Now, they listened to the whole book of Psychic Self-Defense, I'm assuming, and then asked, like, who can I call for help? So I'm assuming that you feel like you're under a psychic attack. And if you do, that's a touchy subject, right? Because, if you go to a doctor, if you go to a therapist, or if you go to anybody in the system and you tell them some of the issues that you're having, there is a high chance that they're going to put you on medication, or they're going to tell you that you're crazy or something like that. And you know what? That's something you need to consider. I'm not trying to insult you or anything, but if you genuinely feel like you're under some type of psychic attack and you're scared, you do need to consider getting professional help, because it may be real, right? It may be like, well, I don't mean real, but it may be a health thing. It may be a mental health thing. Remember, in that book, that even before you get mad at me, that even Dion Fortune tells you that. Because the nature of psychic attack only comes in two ways, right? And if you remember, we talked about this like in 4 different shows. There's only 2 ways that you can be psychically attacked, or 2 energies that can be attacked on you. And that's your sexual energy and the ego energy of you that protects yourself. So if you're scared and you're afraid, or if someone's attacking you with the other energy, you can be sure it's probably in that area. If you're hearing voices, though, I'm not saying you are, but if you're hearing voices, or you're super depressed, things like that, that could just be a mental health thing. So here's my tip for you. And I hope that I'm giving out the right advice, because you're not being very detailed about what's going on with you. If you are being messed with, or you feel like that you have to protect yourself, or you doubt everything, or that part of you that wants to protect yourself seems to be going out of control, where it's beyond paranoia, right? Then if you don't have like a spiritual background in Christianity, like whatever your base spiritual background is, that's what you should go to. You should pray. And then you should do exactly what that book says. Okay? If you're having dreams, or if someone's trying to mess with you to get into your sexual energy, to try to manipulate you or whatever, and you intuitively feel it, you should do exactly what that book says. And a lot of times you'll know this is happening based on the dreams that you're having. The dreams will let you know if you're under some kind of psychic attack. And it'll also let you know, if you pay attention to the dreams, where it's coming from. Because half of the times that we have our psyche gets attacked is because we're doing it ourselves, or we're allowing someone else to do it. It's very rarely the case, that there's some witch or wizard or somebody somewhere else that you're unaware of. I'm not saying it don't happen, okay? But I'm going Occam's razor here. It's very rare that someone's doing this behind the scenes and actually succeeding, because they have to really know what they're doing. And a lot of us don't know just how protected we are. Second part of that advice is, so do exactly what the book says. If you do exactly what the book says, you should be fine if it's a psychic attack. You don't have to call anybody. You can take care of it yourself. If it's something worse, though, if you have depression that gets worse, or you start thinking like suicidal thoughts, or you're actually hearing voices, you should go to a doctor. You don't have to tell the doctor all the details. I mean, I know why people don't go, because they're afraid they're going to get like Baker acted or locked up or something. But you can tell them like, hey, I'm having trouble thinking positively, or I'm having trouble trusting anything, or I don't feel safe. Just be honest and just tell them, I don't like medication. You can even lie if you want to, if you're afraid of medication. Just say, look, I don't really want to take medication. I've taken it before. I've had to do this. I've taken it before. It didn't help. I'd rather figure out a healthy way to solve how I'm feeling. And then it's going to be a lot of work to retrain the way you think and feel, because a lot of that's going to have to do with getting your endorphins back and getting your mind set to a positive mentality. But in the rare case, there are times when people are hearing voices, or they have schizophrenia, or they have certain things that need to be taken care of. So my general advice in just the tip segment here is if you really are in a desperate need and you feel like you need to call somebody, do the general stuff that book says first, because it's harmless, right? It's not evil at all, actually. Think positive and do that. Secondly, if that doesn't help, you could go to betterhelp.com, and I've heard that's actually pretty safe as far as, like, you know, people trying to get you locked up in places because they think you're crazy. Or I don't think that happens as much as a lot of people think. I know it does happen, but you could go to betterhelp.com and just talk to somebody, man. I think they even have like a free, I can look into it, I don't remember, but I think that they even have like a trial version where you can just talk to somebody. But I absolutely think if you're scared of it and you want to call somebody, that you should ceremonially do the stuff that's in that book and try to have a little faith. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Because that's like someone telling you to calm down while you're in the middle of a panic attack. It doesn't really, it's like, okay, I'll just calm down, or okay, I'll just breathe, and that'll make it go away. It takes some time, it takes some discomfort, but you'll get through it. I know I didn't really directly answer your question as far as who to call, but don't call the station. Because the nature of this stuff can get pretty crazy, right? Like if you really, I would stop reading all that stuff too, because that's what she tells you to do in the book. Like if you feel like you're under attack, just get away from all that stuff for a while. Don't read any books about the occult. Don't mess with it. Don't think about it. Go back to your roots. Be around the things that you love. Get out in nature and just get away from it for a while. That's a lot of tips in just a tip, but that's for the segment today. I hope I helped you. I don't know your situation, but if you're a little bit more detailed, I probably could help you a little bit more. But you're going to be all right. Remember that. You'll get through it. All right, so coming up after the break, we're going to get into this Area 51 biz here. We're going to be talking to a pretty special guest that, for one reason or another, we never got around to it, but we finally are going to get around to it. So Jorg is going to come on, and it's going to get pretty interesting. We'll open the phone lines up probably after the first segment or two there. All right? Just keep a listen if you got questions about this, because we all love Area 51 talk. Please donate to the station. Support the station if you can. We have the best deal for you. If you guys have a Benjamin to throw down to support the station, there's a good way to get the best deal that you can. All of the Magical Egypt 1, 2, 3, Women of Wisdom, the Thoth Tarot story, the course, the Great Work course, the entire recorded summit of September. Everything Magical Egypt has to offer at fringe.fm/ME or fringe.fm/Magical Egypt. Put in the code word fringe, and they already took it down to $199. Now you can get it for $99 if you put in the code word fringe. We'll be right back. Make sure you go to the website fringe.fm, download the Fringe FM app, and support the Fringe FM as well. Now, Jorg Anu, am I saying that right, sir, is here with us, and we're going to be discussing this event that I totally missed, man. Apparently there was a big FBI raid. I don't want to get too deep into the story, Jorg. I want you to tell me a little bit about your background, and then kind of tell us how things conspired or how they happened.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
Let me start from the very beginning. it all started back in 1998 when I got to go a little further back even. I came to the United States from Germany, as you might be able to tell from my accent.
Right.
And when I came here, I heard about this place called Area 51, where they keep aliens, where there's all kinds of secret stuff going on and super hush-hush and Bob Lazar story and all that. And so I became interested in Area 51. And back in 1998, I said, okay, I'm going to go there. I actually found out where the place is. Back then, that really wasn't common knowledge. So I found out where Area 51 is. There was no, I mean, people, you know, especially the younger generation, you got to understand, back then the internet was still in its infancy. You couldn't just go and Google stuff.
Sure,
it was just all beginning. So I did some research and I found out, okay, Area 51 is in central Nevada, south central Nevada, and man, I got to see this. So I came to the border of Area 51, actually the day after Christmas of 1998. And it was supposed to be a day trip. Okay, go take a picture of the gate, take a picture of the warning sign, stop at the local bar and grill for a beverage, and go home, and that would be it.
Kind of like what most tourists do when they go there, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and you know, I was going to be the typical tourist taking my picture, and I did. I went down to the gate, and I turned the car around, and I snapped a picture kind of over my shoulder, kind of paranoid. Am I going to get arrested for this or whatever? And got the hell out of there after I took that picture. And okay, I thought this is so spooky. I was, you know, when you drive down that long dirt road towards Area 51, towards the border, you see on the side of on one side, you see a mountain range with, you can see kind of a structure up there. And it turned out, I learned later, that it's a radar site. So I'm looking at this spooky structure, quote unquote, on the hill. I get to the border. I'm seeing security cameras. I see the security guards up on the side on a hill watching us. And there's no gate back at the time. There was no gate there. There was no fence, just warning signs, don't go any further, and spelling out in real clear terms what would happen to you if you did. It said, among other things back then, use of deadly force authorized. So that was my Area 51 impression. Spooky. I don't know what to think of it. They really don't want people in there. They are very serious about it, but at the same time, it's all very low key, and you know, they try to make it look like, nothing to see here, move on.
Right.
So it so happens, it really is almost a comical coincidence that I got into all of this. It so happened that soon after that visit, the company that I worked for downsized. I was let go. I got a little bit of a package. I got to say, I'm a software developer by trade. So it was decent money that I got as a package there. And so I had some time on my hands, some money and time on my hands to poke around. So I got in my SUV and I came out to Area 51 again. At the time, back then, I was still living in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And so I drove out here and I camped in the back of my truck. And I spent probably about 3 or 4 weeks just exploring the area. There's, you know, when you come out here, first of all, you see that one dirt road that goes out there to the gates, and that's where everybody goes. But there's a lot more to see, and there's a lot more, you know, border points to check out, and there's just a lot that you can learn when you just hang around the perimeter.
Sure.
So I camped in the back of my truck, And that's when, the idea was born. Man, I'm learning all these things about Area 51 that I never knew were there, that I can't share with anyone. And I know there's people out there that are interested in this. So that's when my first website started.
What were some of the first things that you learned that you wanted to share at the time?
The first thing really was security, how high security the place is. It looks all very low key. You're driving down this dirt road that looks like a rancher's road. And all of a sudden you get to these signs and it all looks very low key, but it really is very high tech. The security, we call them the camo dudes because of the camouflage clothing that they wear. So the camo dudes are watching you. They are filming you. They have high-powered binoculars. There are cameras watching you. And as I later learned, there's also road sensors that are tracking you as you're driving around the dirt roads on public land. There are infrared cameras tracking you. There's a big camera on Bald Mountain. So everywhere I went, boom, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the camo dudes showed up. They never engaged me. They never talked to me, but it's like you're driving towards a remote gate and boom, out of nowhere, you see a truck behind you or in front of you, camo dudes. And they're just shadowing you. They're just watching you. They just kind of follow you around, make sure you don't do anything stupid.
And so you're saying basically like someone that didn't know or see or spot the equipment at all would probably think, well, I'm just out in the middle of nowhere and here these dudes just keep popping up on me, right? Like,
yeah. And you may not even realize who they are. You may think they are hunters or whatever. I mean, I run into hunters here every once in a while, and you may not even think anything of it. So that was the first thing that really intrigued me, the security and the great lengths that they go through to, securing the place. The next thing was I got a radio scanner. That was like a whole new world opened up. I was able to listen to the radio communications of the base.
Really?
I was actually able to listen to not only the shuttle flights, they use the call sign Janet. That's a long story that I don't want to get into, but anyway, the call sign is Janet, and they bring workers into Area 51 from Las Vegas every day, every work day. So I was able not only to listen to the Janet flights, but I was also able to listen to some of the test flights. After a while, you just kind of learn the frequencies. And again, there was nothing out there on the internet. Now I got all that stuff. I got all frequency lists and everything on my website. Anybody interested can go to my website, dreamlandresort.com, and find the frequency lists for all the test flights, for all the missions, but none of that existed back then.
Wow.
So I figured all that out, and the more I figured out, it was like, man, this place, there's a lot going on. I went to the Las Vegas Janet terminal where the Janet flights go, where the Janet flights depart, heading to Area 51. And I saw that there's about 1,500 people, 1,500 people every day commuting to Area 51. So this is a big, big facility, a very active military facility. So, at that point, Dreamland Resort, my website, started to pick up a little steam. And all of a sudden, all these people, I have one of the features on my website that I still have to this day is a discussion forum where people, it's an old style discussion forum similar to, I guess, a blog these days, if you want to call it that. So back then, that was the latest and greatest, back in the 90s, late 90s.
This website's still up?
Oh yeah, that website is still up. It's been up for almost 25 years now. Dreamlandresort.com.
Dreamlandresort.com. Okay.
Yeah, and I got. If you want to know anything about Area 51, you will learn more than you ever wanted to know on my website. I got everything from first-time visitor information, directions from Las Vegas, all the way to frequency lists, times of exercises, call signs that are being used during those missions. I got everything on my website. And of course, part of it is also that discussion forum that to this day is the biggest section of my website altogether.
Wouldn't now hold on a second. So this is a classified base, right? There's lots of secret stuff that happens there. And you're out here on the outskirts in America. Now this is America, so I mean, come on now. They can't tell you not to do certain stuff. You got rights here, right? So but you're pretty much revealing lots of information. I would think that they would. I'm trying to wonder, did things start happening to you before or after? This was way before the Patriot Act, right? Before they said, well, we can just do whatever we want, right? So
yeah, this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And they didn't mess with you then, right?
No. I played it strictly by the rules. I didn't publish anything classified. What I published on my website was all pretty much my observations from the outside. I never, to this day, in 25 years around the base, I have never stepped foot over the perimeter. And I'll get to that a little later on, flying my drone. I was accused of flying my drone into Area 51. Absolutely not. Never have, never will. I've always played it by the rules. So there's really nothing. And I also have to say that there were bits of information that I was told in very isolated situations, less than a handful of situations where I was told, hey, this is really, you don't need to publish this. And I didn't. It wasn't like I was approached by the government. It was pretty much word of mouth through a friend that told me that had some contacts, and it was like, you don't want to go there. Okay, I'll leave it alone. No problem. I've never pushed the envelope. And, I came to this country because I love this country, because this is a place where I want to live, where I want to grow old.
Sure.
And where I made my home. I would never do anything to hurt this country. So all this poking around the perimeter was never meant to hurt this country, to cause any problems. But I'm trying to channel things. But, I'm giving the first-time visitor information on what they do, what to do, what not to do when they visit. They come out here. I'm telling them this is how you recognize the boundary. You do not want to cross the boundary. This is very serious stuff. And I'm giving, a little more advanced visitors and people that come out here regularly information that is pretty much common knowledge anyway, but it's all kind of condensed on my website. I pretty much just, it's a collection of
there is a ton of information on this website, by the way, you guys. If you go to dreamlandresort.com, if you got questions about Area 51, this would be the place to go to. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
And, another thing, and this is probably a good time to mention that, there's obviously all these UFO stories about Area 51. Bob Lazar came out with his story in the late 90s, in 1989, I think. And, I came out here, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, is there going to be UFOs? Are there UFOs flying out of Area 51? What's going on? So the more I learned about the base and the more I researched things and observed things, the more it became clear to me that no, the UFO stories, I cannot see any credible evidence for that. In almost 25 years in the area now, I have never seen
that's what I was going to ask
UFO.
Is there anything that hinted towards any type of UFOs around Area 51? According to your studies.
Let me tell you a little story. Very early on, my early days out here, I'm camping out by the highway in the middle of nowhere in Tikaboo Valley, right outside Area 51 at night. And I'm looking up in the sky and I'm seeing a big round disc, what my eyes perceived as a big round disc with orange lights around it, hovering over the mountain range, gigantic, like a mile and a half diameter. And I'm like, oh my God, it's all true. They're coming to get me. It's all true. Until I realized what it was. It was a military exercise where planes drop what they call flares. The flares are basically heat, very hot, glowing projectiles that the plane ejects to divert heat-seeking missiles. They are so hot that they mask the exhaust of the plane and just divert the heat-seeking missile. So there was an exercise going on where one plane was chasing the other, and the guy that was being chased flew kind of an evasive pattern, a curve, and while he was flying that curve, he was popping flares, very bright orange lights in the night sky. And your eye fills in the blanks, and I saw this big orange disc hanging in the sky, when in reality it was really just a military exercise with flares. And then, of course, one by one, they dimmed and went out and burned out, and I realized what it was. To this day, that was a key experience that showed me how easy it is to misidentify things when you come out here, when you're not familiar with what you're seeing. So after that, I spent a lot of time at the Black Mailbox, which is kind of a gathering spot where people, that come out here for sky watching meet.
Right.
About the only landmark really in the whole valley. So I spent a lot of time there, and I met a lot of people, and they all came out here, or most of them came out here to see UFOs. So I'm witnessing this time and time again where people see a light in the sky, they see a jet airliner going by in the distance, and it's like, oh my God, it's a UFO. Oh my God, it's jumping around, because they're wiggling their binoculars, looking at it, so it looks to them like it's jumping around. And before you know it, you have a bona fide UFO sighting, when I know full well that it really is just a plane, maybe a test aircraft out of Area 51. It may be something super secret, but it's not a UFO. It's very man-made and very earthly. So my website, dreamlandresort.com, is really all about the military aviation technology aspect of it. If somebody believes in UFOs, I got no problem with that, but my website is not the place for that. We discuss military aviation sightings out of Area 51 as far as they relate to test flights. And let me tell you, there is a lot of testing going on at Area 51 right now. Of course, interrupt me at any time when if I'm going off.
We're at the top of the hour here, but you did, and we're going to get to this, you did get raided by the FBI, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Last year I did get raided by the FBI, and I want to set the stage a little more, and then I'll get to that.
Sure. Well, so would it be based on your 25 years of studying and I put the total, I should have put your website up on the flyer. I'm so sorry. I put up Roadrunners International on there for some reason, but would it be safe to assume that if the government is in possession of some type of UFO technology like they were talking about in Congress, that more than likely they wouldn't have it in a place like Area 51? Is
correct.
I mean, as much attention and publicity that place is, that would be, if I was the government, that would be the last place that I would put it, even if it was underground. Right? I mean, I just don't think it's there.
I doubt that we have anything from out of this world, but if we did, I don't believe that it would be at Area 51. The infrastructure at Area 51 is very much geared towards military aviation testing. There's all kinds of radar sites and radar ranges, electronic ranges. It's all geared to test next generation military jets. And there is actually an interesting program that has been going on at Area 51 that actually does have to do with reverse engineering, but they are not reverse engineering UFOs. They are reverse engineering Russian MiGs. So they get their hands on some Russian fighter jets, on some Russian MiGs. And, there's dark channels how we get our hands on these jets. I mean, this is like cutting edge technology, Russian and probably also Chinese by now. And they want to know, how good is the enemy? How good are the Russians? How good are the Chinese? And they fly these Russian and Chinese planes against our fighter jets to see how can we beat them. So there is a little bit of truth to reverse engineering, but it has nothing to do with UFOs. It's all, we want to know what our enemy can do and learn a little bits and pieces from what they do, just like they learn from us. So that's the reverse engineering part at Area 51. It's a program that has been going on since, I believe, the 60s. And there is good evidence that it is still going on today, of course, with different planes. And so we always have the cutting edge planes that the enemy just came out with. And we also have, a lot of people don't realize it. When you go out to the back gate of Area 51 here near Rachel, you see some radar sites inside the fence line.
So,
those are actually Russian radar sites.
So I want to talk about why the FBA rated. Well, we'll get into that because you're doing magnificent telling the story. And look, here at Lighting the Void, what we care about is the truth, right? Like, it's fun to talk about UFOs, aliens. We know there's something going on the planet. We're not sure what it is. There's Congress stuff going on about it. There's hearings, but it's time we get the truth about Area 51. Now, guys, while we're going to break, I want you to check out this website and see the massive amount of information that's on it. Dreamlandresort.com. Go check it out. We'll be right back. And now tonight, we're getting even deeper into Area 51 with George here from dreamlandresort.com. I've never seen this much information in my entire life on Area 51. This man has been pressed and poked and even raided by the FBI, and we're going to get into that story too. And but I want to ask you this question real quick, George. Like, when the Lazar story came out, did you say, man, this guy's full of it? Did you consider anything that he was saying to be real?
Actually, the Lazar story came out before I got interested in Area 51. He came out with his story in 1989, before I even came to this country. I was still living in Germany at the time, and to be honest with you, I didn't hear much about it over there. I wasn't really all that interested. So I can only look at it in the rearview mirror. And, in hindsight, his story made a lot of sense in the beginning. He said a lot of the right things. He knew a lot of the right people, and he spoke very technical. And one thing I got to say is what makes, in my opinion, made his story credible at first. He has never changed his story.
Right.
He would just say, I don't know that. That was not my expertise. That was somebody else's field. That is exactly what a scientist would say that really works on that stuff. Because...
Oh. Did we lose you?
He had the lingo down, and he knew some of the right people, but when you come out with a fantastic story like that, there's points where the story just starts falling apart. I mean, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to, start refuting his claims one by one. There's actually a whole section on my website that deals with the Bob Lazar story, and it was originally compiled by someone else by the name of Tom Mahood, who was kind enough to give me his research to use on my website. So it's all on there. If you're interested in the Lazar story, go to my dreamlandresort.com website and look for the Lazar Corner.
Gotcha.
It's in the index somewhere, and it basically takes apart his story point by point. He claims education credentials that he doesn't have. He claims to have received an education during a time when he has been proven to work full-time in a different state. All that just doesn't make sense. But at first glance, his story is very compelling, I got to say.
Yeah, it's compelling. But like I was saying before, I'm not sure it went out over the air, but I knew nothing about Area 51 until I met Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers, who kind of did what you did with equipment and not for as many years. And he told me the same things. Look, this is a lot of military testing. He had these spooks that would come out and stalk him a little bit, when he was around the perimeters. But I have not seen the type of information or the archive of information in my entire life like that you have at dreamlandresort.com. So you've told us your backstory, how passionate you were about understanding this, picking up all this stuff. And I mean, there's no way we're going to go over all this information in one show. And yet, just like Lazar, that we saw what happened to Lazar in the last, the last film that Corbell did, he was also raided by the FBI, but you were too. Now, I don't want to jump ahead. I want you to continue. Sorry, I get a little too excited about this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. I mean, I just wanted to set the stage to let people, to give people an idea of, the scenario and what I'm doing out here. Of course, also, besides information about Area 51, I also have a lot of photos of Area 51. I mean, you can go to Google Earth and look down on Area 51 all day long if you want to. There's up-to-date satellite images. Back then, it wasn't so much. Then, yeah. You couldn't do that. So I have, there's one, okay, I got to get a little further out. Area 51 is tucked away in a valley surrounded by mountain ranges, and you cannot go up on any of these nearby mountain ranges and look into it. All the mountain ranges around Area 51 are restricted, and you can't, there used to be a couple of mountaintops that you could hike up to and look right down on it. The government took that land in 1995, and so you can't do that anymore. And there is one mountaintop left by the name of Tikaboo Peak that we go up to, and we take photos of Area 51 with telescopes with a lot of high-end technology, 26 miles distance. So you're looking at 26 miles of desert air at Area 51. And I got some panoramas that were taken from Tikaboo on my website. The latest one is actually from earlier this year, from the spring of this year. And so people can see Area 51. It's a real place. It exists. There's buildings there. There's runways. I mean, you can look at it. And of course, today you can also look at it on Google Earth. So it's a military base. There's a lot of secret stuff going on. And just to mention very briefly before I get into the raid, big projects at Area 51 right now is the RQ-180. It's an unmanned aerial vehicle that has been flying for years, but it's still super hush-hush. And I actually was lucky enough to take a photo of it right at the perimeter of Area 51. It was flying over us, and actually a friend of mine took that photo. I think you would get a kick out of it when I say Mr. X. So Mr. X took that photo and was kind enough to let me use it. So we have a photo of a super secret plane out of Area 51 on the website. There's proof. And there's also a big project is what is called the Next Generation Air Dominance Project. That is a whole family of aircraft. They are networked. So you have a manned aircraft surrounded by a bunch of unmanned drones that are acting somewhat autonomous and basically do whatever that manned aircraft tells them to do. So you're protected in your fighter jet by a swarm of drones surrounding you, that you can employ at will to hit a target, light up a target, defend yourself, whatever it needs to be. So that is one of the big projects at Area 51. Actually, 4 hangars at Area 51 have been revamped, and massive hangars, massive shelters have been built around those hangars in preparation for that project. So that's one of the big projects. Another project is when the B-21, the new bomber, gets ready to flight test and evaluation. Area 51 would certainly be involved in that. There's planes that fly out of Area 51. One of them uses the call sign RAT 55. That is a radar plane that is specialized in snooping out radar signatures of other aircraft. And there's a lot of high-tech stuff living at Area 51. And I could fill 24-hour show just with that information, but I'm just going to leave it at that. A lot of high-tech stuff going on at Area 51.
Sure.
And we do not want that exposed. I want to make that very clear. That is not what we stand for. The group around my website, a lot of them are former military people that, that are just as curious as the rest of us. They don't know about these projects. So we are all, I'd like to look at it, I'd like to say that we are all patriots that support Area 51, that are happy that Area 51 exists to keep our country safe. So, I've always tried to get that I've even stated on my website several times that if ever anyone feels that we published something that we shouldn't publish, please let me know through whatever means, and I will take it off if that is if there's a good reason. And
has the military or any staff from Area 51 ever contacted you and asked you to take it down?
Never. And that's why I was shocked beyond belief when this whole raid came down. And I guess this is about as good a time as any to talk about that.
Yeah.
I've really tried to play it nice, and always said if I want to be a good neighbor, if you have any problems with what I'm doing, let me know. I'll make it right. I'm not out to hurt anyone. We are curious geeks. We all share the same hobby of Area 51. And so, I don't know what else I could have done. So anyway, on November 3rd of last year, I was up here in Rachel, and I'm retired. I like to sleep in. So about 8 in the morning, I wake up to loud banging. And at first I thought maybe a plane might have gone supersonic, sonic boom. We hear that a lot, but no, It was, the house was shaking. Whoa. I don't know if you just heard that. We just had a sonic boom.
Yeah, I did hear that. I did hear that. Was that a sonic boom? For real?
That was a sonic boom.
Wow. Okay.
It's so funny that just happened as I'm talking about it. So anyway, my house is shaking, and I'm waking up to voices in my house. York Arnu, this is the FBI. We have a search warrant. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? At this point, I'm realizing in order to get into my house, they had to cut down. They had to basically cut down a country gate around I have a large property in Rachel.
So they already made it. They already busted through your gates. They probably surrounded your front and back doors too. I'm betting.
They busted through my gate. They had already breached my garage that I had just built. They had completely destroyed the front door, the man door to my garage to get into the garage for reasons I still don't understand. And then finally, I guess they made it to my house, and I'm still sound asleep. They bust in the door. They completely destroy the side door to my house. I'm waking up. I stagger out there, and I'm like, what are you doing in my house? So at this point, I'm looking at, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 people in a very small entrance room to my house, guns drawn behind a riot shield.
Oh my
And
God.
the lead guy is yelling at me, turn around, hands against the wall. And before I know it, my hands are ripped back behind my back pretty forcefully. I believe I hit my head in the wall at that point, and I'm basically put in handcuffs, dragged out of my own house, pushed into a vehicle. Still don't have any idea what's going on. Okay, I see people. At this point, I'm seeing on my property, I'm seeing about 6, 7, 8 black SUVs, one large man carrier of some sort, like a large van. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What happened? What did I do? I didn't do anything. What's going on? Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's telling me anything. So they pushed me into this car, and a while later, somebody took off the handcuffs, and it's like, okay, you broke the law. You published photos and information about Area 51. You should have seen this coming. So they right away asserted an authority and put me in a very defensive position. I said, okay, I want to see a search warrant. We'll get to that later. So they searched my house while I'm watching, sitting, kneeling in one of the vehicles, guarded by several people with guns drawn, pointed at me. I'm helplessly watching people go in and out of my house, carry things out of my house, that I have no idea what all they're taking. And, the people that were interrogating me, as I later learned, one of them was FBI, one of them was Air Force OSI, that's kind of the FBI of the Air Force. They just took turns basically hammering me with questions. What did I do? Did I fly my drone? I have a drone. Yeah, I took. And if you go to my Dreamland Resort website and also to the Rachel website, you're going to see a lot of drone videos of ghost towns in the vicinity. So that's what I use my drone for. I take videos of ghost towns and I post them online on my YouTube channel. So, well, you flew your drone into Area 51. I said, no, I did not. And so, 2 or 3 more questions. But you flew your drone into Area 51, right? I said, no, I did not. A couple more questions. But you admit to flying a drone to Area 51, right? No, I did not. I never have. But you went into the base. I never have. I tried to, at this point, I'm trying to regain my composure. At the same time,
that is so
find
wild,
out what is going on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm watching a goon squad of probably 20 people dragging dirt into my house. I'm a very clean person. It was snowing that day, so they were dragging dirt all over my house,
all in the house, yeah.
tracking mud all over my house, pulling stuff out. My office looked after this all was done. I almost broke out in tears when I got back to my office. It looked like a bomb had hit. Everything was torn out of closets, cabinets, torn upside down, and of course they kept me in the vehicle. So I'm watching all this, and at some point through, I'm still thinking, okay, this is Rachel. I did something. They think I did something, and some remark was made about my Vegas home. And at this point, it dawns on me that my girlfriend Linda, who happens to post on this show, I think as Dragon Rose,
yeah,
that she was in our home in Las Vegas, and
so now you're thinking, oh, now they got another team over there messing with my girl too, yeah.
So I said, I am not saying another word. I need to talk to Linda right now. So after some back and forth, they got me on the horn through somebody's phone. My phone at that point had already been taken. I got to talk to Linda, and she said, yes, house also being searched. Everything is as good as can be, but, as can be expected under those circumstances. But as I later learned, she was manhandled in a similar way. She was roused out of bed. She was also asleep. The door was locked in. She was ordered at gunpoint to come downstairs as she was, near naked. They dragged her out of the house in just her underwear in front of all the neighbors, had her standing there for a little bit, then also put her in a car, not really telling her what's going on, only that I'm apparently breaking the law. And here's another thing. They lied. That's the thing. These people will lie to you all day long to get what they want out of you. So they wanted to know the phone numbers and names of our friends and Rachel. What did they do? They told Linda I was not in the house. I was on the run. Where could I be? So
they were telling her some stuff to try to scare her.
They lied to her.
Yeah.
They lied to her. They told her I was on the run when they hadn't even been in the house here, when I was still sound asleep in my bed. So she gave them all the phone numbers and names of our friends here and Rachel, which is exactly what they wanted.
Sure.
And then they said, well, I'm sorry, I guess he's still in bed. You know, like these people lie to you all day long to get what they need. And the way they go about their business is, I don't think a normal person could do these jobs. It takes a certain type of person, and I'm trying to phrase this very carefully, a person that is not necessarily, how do I phrase this? A person that is not necessarily burdened with a large amount of empathy. That's the kind of people that work for the FBI.
Like a sociopath, you know, like someone that doesn't, yeah.
You said that. I can't say that right now.
It sounds like that to me. I mean, if you pulled my girlfriend out of bed, started telling her that I ran away or lied to her or whatever just to get her to say something, I mean, you're breaking somebody's heart just to be a bastard, so you can get what you want, you know.
Damn right. And they destroyed our lives. They have messed with our lives for almost a year now. And, so after this whole thing, after the raid was over, I was handed, I think, 5 or 6 pages of a search warrant that, the pages start at at page 39. So the search warrant is missing the first 38 pages. What I have is on my website. I'm going to give you the name of that website in a minute. I have all the documents that I received on a website. The website is called Area 51 FBI Raid.com. There's also a link on my Dreamland Resort website to it. But there's, all the documents that I have, all the information, all the photos, everything about that case is on that website. Again, the address is Area 51 FBI Raid.com. So, I received a list of inventory, and I'm looking at this inventory. All my computers were taken, my phone, every communications device. I'm out here in Rachel, and people that, don't know Rachel, don't know the area, don't know how rural it is here, how far away help is. So I'm in my home, completely helpless, with busted doors, with a busted gate, and they took every single means of communication away from me before they left. So I'm completely helpless. I'm defenseless. I can't communicate. I can't even call Linda. I'm just by myself and deal with it. And at that point, it dawned on me what these people were pulling on me, and I said, "Okay, you need to get out of here now."
So their whole legal reason for saying that. Well, first, did they ever show you a warrant? Did you ever get a warrant?
I got a few pages of what is portrayed as a warrant, but I don't look at it as a legal warrant. So it is signed by a federal judge, but it is missing 38 pages at least. So I don't know what these 38 pages include. So it doesn't tell me what's being held against me. It just tells them that they can take pretty much whatever they want from my house. And it also states that they have to provide me a digital copy of my files. Now we're getting into a whole other can of worms here. They took all my computers, all my backup drives from both my houses. And, I had backups in both my homes. I never expected to lose everything at once. So I don't have any online backups. I don't believe in online backups. So I literally lost
you didn't save
all
anything
my
to the cloud. Oh,
no,
my God.
No, I did not. So I lost financial information, medical records, memories of my deceased parents, photos of 20 years. I lost everything I had on my computer. Imagine if somebody comes to you and takes everything that you have ever saved to a computer away from you. That's where I was.
Oh my God.
I lost everything. I couldn't even get into my own bank account. I couldn't get, I had to cancel doctor's appointments. I had to cancel a medical procedure that I had scheduled because I lost the information for it. I mean, I was completely, totally, and utterly helpless. And I hope that nobody in your audience ever feels that way. If you do, I can only advise you, do not cooperate with these goons. They are out there to get you. They are out to hurt you. They will do anything they can to get what they want. They will lie to you. Do not cooperate. Do not talk to them. Ask for a lawyer, and that is it. I was dumb enough to talk to them, and that was probably the worst thing I could possibly have done. So let my predicament, be a lesson. These people are not your friends. They may even make remarks that sound like they are your friends. They are not your friends. They are psychopaths. I'm just saying it. These people are out to get you. They are out to hurt you. They have an agenda, and they will only follow that agenda.
Now, what do you now we're going to skip the bottom of the hour break because I can. But what do you think? I mean, do you think this was some kind of scare tactic, mafia move to get you to back off, to get you to
That's exactly what I think. Yeah.
Really?
I'm a very outspoken guy. If I don't like something, I make it known. And there were other situations where I was very outspoken, and they know it. So I think that I'm very known in this field. I have a lot of followers, and our group is very well networked. They picked me to threaten me, and they were hoping that I would say, "Oh my God, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I'm shutting down my website. I'm going away." That's exactly. They wanted people to back off, and that was a message: back off. And they picked the wrong guy.
Now, there's tons of articles on this that were journalists, put this stuff out, but they haven't responded. Has there been any response from them since that said, okay, well, this is the reason why we did it? No. I have tried to contact them. My attorney, who I have hired as a result of all of this, has tried to repeatedly contact them. I have even gotten in touch with Congresswoman Susie Lee's office. I hope she doesn't mind that I'm using her name here. Her office was nice enough to show compassion with our case and inquire about our case with the FBI. Not even her office has gotten the time of day from them. We don't even get a response. They don't even tell us, yeah, it's going to be another 2 months, or it's going to be another 5 months, another 2 years, whatever, until you get your stuff back, if ever. They don't tell us what are they holding against me. I filed a claim for reimbursement of my damages. That claim was very quickly denied by their financial department. Linda filed a claim for damages that were done to her property. She hasn't even heard back from them. These people are completely ghosting us. There is just absolutely not even a word back from them. And that concerns me, that there is authorities in this country that can do these things. If you would have told me on November the 2nd that something like this could happen, I would have said, not in a million years. This is stuff that you see in a movie. Not going to happen ever. Well, I was wrong. It did happen. So
the bottom line is it is really concerning that there are forces in this country that I love. I want to say that again. I love this country. But there are forces here that have a dark agenda, that are out for bad reasons to hurt people, and that use their position of power to intimidate people, to blackmail people. Without going into detail, I'm going to say that somebody else years and years ago was blackmailed by the same goon squad. And I think I'm expecting the same thing to eventually happen, that they eventually come to me and say, okay, either you're going to shut down your website or we're going to throw you in jail. Well, they picked the wrong guy. I'm not shutting down my website. My website stays up. That is a promise to all my followers, to everybody on my website. I will not shut down my website. They're going to have to throw me in jail before that's going to happen.
Oh, man. So this goes back to, okay. Yeah, and it's so crazy. I know it's probably stupid to bring up the Bob Lazar thing again, but he, you know, when they did the movie with him, they raided his house during that movie. It showed them raid his house during that movie. So it makes me think, like, if anybody gets too interested in what's really going on at Area 51, regardless if they're telling the truth or not, like, they're just going to scare. That's what the mafia does. Well, let's just go scare them a little bit, right? Let's drag them down the street behind a truck for a little bit and scare them, you know?
Yeah, they're using the same tactics. They make you feel completely powerless, and it is really just mafia methods that they're using. So, you know, and you know, when you don't normally, you read these stories in the paper, and well, I'm sure the guy did something really bad. I know I did not do something really bad. I am a law-abiding citizen. I've never been arrested or in jail or have any, other than speeding tickets, I've never had any contact with the law. And, you know, this stuff happened to me. So that makes me wonder how many other people like me are out there. Not only, you know, not necessarily only about the Area 51 community, but other people in other areas, in other walks of life that one way or another got frowned upon by certain people, and all of a sudden they have this investigation and have all these dark forces against them. They don't even know who they are. It makes me wonder how many people like me are out there, and maybe I need to do a little more research about that. And, you know, I'm good at starting websites. I thought about starting a website just for that reason, to, you know, give people like me an avenue to connect. It's a very traumatic experience that I've gone through. And still, to this day, I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I hear noises outside the house. I get up, I look out the door. I want to make sure they are not coming back. It's extremely traumatic. And I want to, maybe it's time for someone to, you know, take this and run with it, to start a website where people like myself that have been harassed by the government can connect. I thought about this, and, you know, maybe that Area 51 FBI raid website is the start of it.
So, I mean, why hold you? What I don't understand is why gunpoint? It's one thing that I've seen people, you know, like that's just ridiculous. I've seen search warrants happen where people just knock on the door and they search your house. Nobody ever pulls a gun. They talk to you. They tell you what's going on, right? I mean, from state and federal law, they said, look, you know, we got a search warrant. We need to search your house. If we don't find anything, we'll leave, whatever. But here's the warrant. That happens all the time. But raid your house with shields and guns and like what?
Yeah, these people obviously expected to find a hardened criminal. The one of the first questions that I was asked is, are there any booby traps on your property? If one of our officers gets hurt, that is going to be on you. That is verbatim one of the very first things that one of the officers said to me. I said, who do you think I am? I'm not a hardened criminal. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm a 61-year-old retired software developer who runs a website about Area 51. who gave you this information? So yes, they were very much out of line in the way they treated me, like a hardened criminal and pointing guns at me. I still, to this day, I don't know what information they were given, and I probably will never find out. But somebody gave people a very wrong impression of who I am. I have some suspicions, but I'm not going to talk about them on the air.
Sure, yeah.
I have some people that don't like me very much, and I believe that they might have been behind this. But that is all besides the point. What I would like to say, and please forgive me for doing a little bit of advertising here, but I lost over $20,000 worth of equipment. I had $6,000 damage to my home. I have $7,000 in legal fees. That's over $30,000 that I'm in the hole right now. And I'm probably going to be going through a legal process where I need a lot more money for my defense fund. I have started a GoFundMe page to help me with the legal fees and other expenses. A lot of people have already helped me out with money. I have raised a lot of money, and I'm very, very happy. I'm very grateful for that. Anyone who would like to help me out in this really sucky situation, I can't call it anything else, please go to area51fbiraid.com, and there's a link to my GoFundMe page. If you're feeling so inclined, please help me out. Everything helps. I am really suffering. My life, as our life, really, I got to include Linda in this. She's suffering just because she, we are in a relationship. Basically just, got caught in all of this. We are both suffering from this. We had to completely put our life on hold. We had to cancel all vacation plans because we don't know what financial hardships are going to come our way. We are retired Americans. We lost a year of our lives to this. And, we appreciate any help that anyone would be so inclined to give us. Thank you to everyone who helped us.
What did they take from you other than the data, the computers and stuff? I mean, what else did they take from you?
Let's see. They took 4 computers. I don't know how many backup drives, jump drives, miscellaneous drives. They took my camera with a very expensive telephoto lens that I use for aviation photography. The camera alone cost about $5,500. They took my drone, a $1,500 drone. That's gone. Like I said, computer equipment. The whole list is on my website. They did a very thorough job in completely stripping me of any electronics.
Everything you had that. Well, you're a programmer to begin with, so everything you had of value.
Yeah. I mean, I had expensive computer equipment. They took some of my scanner equipment. Other equipment they left. How they determined what to take, I don't know. They took. I had. I don't know how many. I want to say probably hundreds of CDs and DVDs with anything from photos of clubs that I was a member with to old programming projects that I worked on that I had archived. They took 3 CDs with images of Area 51 that I had legally bought from a satellite image operator that we did this years ago on my website where we put money together and everybody contributed. And I bought these satellite images of Area 51 when Google Earth really wasn't available. I legally bought those. They are gone. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but, a lot of stuff that, look around your office and think all electronics gone. And then start tallying that up. You're going to end up with a pretty substantial amount when you're done.
Well, it sounds to me, George, that you're probably right. Someone probably accused you of being some kind of intel spy or something like that for another country or another organization or something. And that's all they need to think. I mean, that's all they need to think. If they even think that, then they're going to go through every single detail of your life to try to figure out what's going on,
And, that's fine. If somebody gave them bad information, shame on that person. They didn't know any better. But by now, I'm sure they have been through my stuff with a fine-tooth comb, and they found out how boring I am, what a boring life I'm leading. And, I'm not the mastermind criminal that they think I am. So by now, I think they should be a little more cooperative and at least respond to my inquiries, not totally stonewall me. And that's where it really becomes inexcusable to me. I think at this point, they're probably sitting there and scratching their heads and trying to figure out how to get all that egg off their face. They have a lot of egg on their face and they fucked up. And they are trying to figure out how to get out of this.
Don't they have some kind of whistleblower thing where you're protected now just for talking about the truth and stuff? Like, I don't know if that would qualify because it happened before that, but they're supposed to have a thing now to where, like, even if you did reveal information that was supposedly classified that we didn't know about, there's supposed to be a law that protects people for saying that. I'm not so sure about all of that. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but to me, it sounds to me like if it's a pretty scary thing, right? To me, because and we're not free as we think we are.
No, we are not. For something out of the blue, I had no inclination. I had no idea this was coming. If this hit me out of the blue, it can hit anyone out of the blue. I mean, if you're listening, don't think you're safe. It can hit anyone out of the blue, and you won't even see it coming. At this point, I think they need to make it right. And once I know what, if anything, is being held against me, only then can I even do anything. Only then can I react. Right now, I can't. I don't know what they're holding against me. I'm running a website. Is that your problem? I don't know what's the problem.
Did you say that to them? Like, am I under arrest? I would have asked them that. Like, am I under arrest? What are you doing?
That was actually the first thing out of my mouth after I asked them, what the hell are you doing in my house? When they dragged me out of my own house, I asked them in handcuffs. I asked them, am I under arrest? And here comes another lie. The guy said, not right now. Your cooperation will determine how we proceed. He was lying to me. They had no arrest warrant for me. They couldn't have arrested me. I was being detained while they were searching my property. And what I didn't know, if I would have known that, I would have acted differently. I could have simply asked them to please let me go, and they would have had to let me go. I didn't know that. I was intimidated by 3 people standing around me as I was being shoved in a car. And I just didn't know my rights. I know my rights now, and this is not going to happen to me again. I can tell you that.
What's keeping this from becoming a... I mean, unless I'm just missing something obvious here, which I'm very well known for. I'm a bit naive sometimes, but how is this being stopped from being a lawsuit? Like, there has to be a lawyer out there or somebody that would look at this and be like, listen, man, you were treated like a second-rate citizen at the most, and a freaking Guantanamo Bay person at the worst. Like, you should get compensated for this. Like, if you didn't do anything they accused you of, right? You have no files, nothing. You have nothing that's classified. You didn't fly your drone into Area 51. Like, if all of that can be proven, then the United States government owes you an apology. At the very least.
Yeah, you would think. Well, when I first started to get a grip on the situation, and I couldn't get the time of day from them, so I went to, I talked to 2 or 3 different lawyers. Each one of them didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. The FBI scares apparently the hell out of these people, and no lawyer is going to touch this. Of course, I can hire an attorney on my own dime, and it will cost me several hundreds of thousands of dollars to go and sue the FBI, and nothing good will ever come out of this. I've pretty much talked to every single one of those self-help law organizations like ACLU and all the other non-profit legal services. Not a single one wanted to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Apparently, the FBI put the fear of God in these people, and they are not touching this. I had a consultation with one attorney, and on the phone he said me he can help me, and then I go there, and it was a whole different story. He couldn't wait to get rid of me. So these people, there is something going on in the background where I don't know exactly what is being held over these people, but nobody, not one attorney wanted to talk to me and wanted to touch this. I finally found one attorney who was willing to be on retainer for me, and in case I get arrested, at least I have someone to talk to and to represent me. But even he will not go after the FBI legally. It's unbelievable. These people are untouchable.
They're scared. Well, everybody's scared.
I want to say this: if by any chance an attorney is listening, and if you are willing to take this, and I don't have much. I am on a fixed income. I'm a retired citizen. I don't have much. I can't pay much. But if you are willing to do this on a pro bono basis or on a contingency basis, please get in touch with me. Webmaster@dreamlandresort.com. There's feedback links on my website. Please, I want to hear from you. I can use help. I can use all the help I can get probably. So that's where I'm at. And this is 11 months after the raid. I still haven't gotten word one from the FBI.
The only person that's above the FBI is the Attorney General, right? Like, I don't even know how you would go over. This is crazy to me. I've always wanted to. I don't know if it was Dave Cruz or maybe it was Gigi, but someone told me about this, and I remember looking into this before. But I really wanted to talk to you about this now. I mean, strictly because of all of the UFO stuff going on now. So we've made it very clear that we're talking to a man, George here, who's studied Area 51 for years, right? And if I'm correct, you haven't really seen any evidence of UFOs, correct? At the Area 51.
No. I've seen a lot of really super secret stuff or super cool stuff flying out of Area 51, but It's all very much man-made.
It's all military, right? It's all military projects, things like that.
Yeah.
And you haven't broke any laws, but
I have not.
Something tipped the scales to have these people raid your house. And this is why I brought up Bob Lazar when they raided his house too, because I wonder if it was around the same time. See, I wonder about, and this is like one of the final questions I'd like to talk to you about here. Because you were, if what you're telling me is correct, you were done incredibly wrong, sir. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But it does make me wonder about other organizations in the government that we're not aware of. I mean, because if the system doesn't work, then what's scaring everybody?
Well, you mentioned the Attorney General's office. I have actually contacted them, and guess what they did? They forwarded my complaint to, guess who? To the FBI.
That doesn't even make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And of course, they had fizzled out. So, I mean, we are very lucky to finally got the attention of Congresswoman Susie Lee and her staff. They are very nice to us. They are very... they have a lot of understanding for our case. They are trying to help, but even they can't get a hold of the FBI. It's like the untouchables. They can't. They are above the law. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to explain a damn thing to you.
Doesn't make any sense, man. So, are you afraid to go out there and like go around Area 51 still? Like, honestly, have they? Because you said that when you sleep now, sometimes you don't know if they're going to bid because it traumatized you a little bit. Did they succeed a little bit in getting you to back away or pursuing information as much as you used to?
I'm pursuing information in the same exact way as I have before.
So no.
I have removed some, I got to say this, right after this raid happened, I have removed a few items from my website that were not against the law, but I thought, okay, I don't want to have any ifs, ands, or buts in here and any gray zone. But other than that, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't need to change anything.
Yeah,
I don't know what I would need to change.
You probably did get a photograph of something that they were like, oh, damn, somebody saw that. Maybe. Who knows? Either way, I mean, you have the right to know what you want to know within the confines of their security, and that's exactly what you did. And because they failed at their job, they took it out on you. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And if I would have caught a glimpse of something and not knowing what it is, would have put it on the website, it would have been far more efficient to send me an email, call me, whatever, or knock on my door and say, hey, look, this is not cool. Don't put that on the website and, take it off. No problem. I'll take it off right away. I would have totally complied right away. It would have been so much more efficient than this whole witch hunt that's going on. But like you said earlier, I think it is a message that they want to send to the community, and I'm sure they are not very happy about a lot of people being curious what's going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of, where there's no accountability, there will be abuse. So I'm sure there are people that don't like the scrutiny because they are abusing the black projects, the black world, the black budget, and they don't want that to go away. So they don't like us. Being a watchdog, and that's kind of what we are.
Well, we do have to.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do or say at this point. I know that my story sounds absolutely crazy, and I'm sure half the people out there listening to this are going to say, "Well, I'm sure the guy did something wrong. I'm sure he did something wrong." I did not. I'm, like I said, my only run-in with the law ever was a speeding ticket.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. Dreamlandresort.com is the website. You guys can go check it out. You can also go to Area51FBIRaid.com to check all this out for yourself if you want to support George and Linda both. They're both members of our community, so we'd really appreciate it if you did support them. And thank you again for coming on the broadcast. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure on my end.
All right, guys, we're going to get out of here tomorrow night. Rich West will be on the program. We're talking OBEs and stuff. So there you go. Big time Area 51 stuff still yet. No answers. And we have some of our own people getting knocked around a little bit for no reason at all. If you guys got any feedback, you can email me too at producer@fringe.fm or the actual producer of the show, John Marshall, Jon, John Marshall at fringe.fm. Support the Fringe FM. Good night, y'all. Sweet dreams.